I think of our normalcy policy, and that's a pretty new policy, and people are still grappling with the implementation of
Right.
that. So I'm wondering if you've had a lot of questions around that.
I think for me, I think I'm probably on the mentee end of this, where I've had a lot of questions for other people around, like, how does this work, and does this mean this, and how are you implementing this, and how are you keeping social workers informed, and how are you doing those pieces? So I think in that respect, I've had conversations around normalcy, but I think that it's not so much as mentees asking, as in a mentor role. It's more of a, we're all putting our heads together to say, so what does this look like for you? And what does this look like for me? And how does this work? And how does this feel for our kids? And those pieces. I think most of the things that have circled around for me is really around behavior.
Is there a most frequently asked question from a mentee?
I think a lot of the questions are really around, I think they're in different categories, but around what do I do when? What do I do
when what?
What do I do when, my child is, what do I do when my child is tantruming? Some of those just general behavioral questions, which I think, I also have, I have a developmental background and teach preschool, and so I know a lot about behavior pieces. But, what do I do about this? What do I say to kids when they call me mom? How do I respond to birth parents when they, comment on the clothes I'm dressing the children in, or what I'm feeding them, or those pieces. So I think it's really, I think what I can offer to people is really around that perspective.
Do you have the answers to those questions? Because I bet a lot of people would want to know how you respond to that.
So I talk about, for when kids call, when kids call you mom, I say, I always say, I'm the mom of the house. You're right, I'm the mom of the house. And I'm Nancy to you, or some of my kids call me Nanny. So I'm Nanny to you. And it's just pretty straightforward. I talk to foster parents about, to just being careful about the words that they're using. If they're having struggles with birth families, to be careful about the words they're using. So like saying, oh, we're going home now to kids in care. That yes, you want those children to feel like it's your home. And if you're saying that in front of birth families, if you were in that position, then it would not feel good to you. So, I think those are the pieces. So I say, just be careful about the words that you're saying. We talk about simple things like, bathroom words and talk that may have been common in their birth home, but is not acceptable in your home. And how do we work through that? In my house, you can say bathroom words all you like. You need to go into the bathroom and do that and close the door. And when the bathroom was in the middle of the house and we could all hear them, I just had to work with my other kids to say, the door's closed, so we're going to pretend that we're not hearing that. Because the kids understand that, I'm just on the other side of the door, and if I yell loudly, then then everybody can still hear me. But it takes away the audience piece of that. So I think, some of those pieces are just pretty straightforward and
really sound pieces of advice.
Well,
yeah, great.
It works for me, so.
So another thing you mentioned was you would have a meeting with her, and between meetings you would think of topics that you wanted to share with her. Can you tell us about what those topics might be and how you would circle back to those earlier conversations and give her that information?
Yeah, she would struggle with what her role was versus what the bio parent's role was, and so I would write these down, and then I would look it up in the foster parent manual guidelines and normalcy policies. And then I would have that prepared the next time we spoke so that I could show her in these places what the regulation was and help her understand what her role versus what bio parents' role was.
So what might some of those things be? Like I'm thinking about vacationing or camping or something like that. Did your mentee have questions about those kinds of things?
Yeah, she really was concerned about vacation because she was going to be taking a family vacation and wanted her child to go. And she had a lot of questions about, can I bring them here? Can I, what do I have to do to bring them across state line? What do I, so a lot of it was just really uncertainty about the rules when you bring a child out of state.
You mentioned a story about a prom dress to me earlier. Can you talk about what your mentee's questions were about the prom and going to the prom?
She had taken her foster daughter to get a prom dress and spent a lot of time and effort into making it a perfect day, but she hadn't checked it out with anybody before she had done that. So bio mom was very upset about that. And so she really felt like she had done something wrong instead of, she was really trying her hardest to make this child so happy. But I think it was kind of a lesson to always bring things to the team and figure out those kind of things because they're not in the book.
Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself saying a lot that you're doing what's in the best interest of the child?
Absolutely, all the time. Yep, I think new foster parents really need to hear that because they get tired and they feel like they're not doing a good job.
Mm-hmm. And they really are.
And they really are, yeah.